Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So it is our normal time talking about business. So on Saturday afternoon, only the one had a entrepreneur drive, the one that has the urge to begin something would be here. So I'm so glad that you're here today. And this topic today is business plan. And I will say that this is one of the hardest webinar topic that I think I can talk about, just because it is very customized. There is no business plan can come in to be the same. And you won't be able to really do a good business plan by going onto internet, typing business plan template, then thinking, oh, wow, I got a business plan. No, it doesn't work that way. I kind of want to talk to you about my take about doing a business plan. So let's kind of get on to sharing some screens with you. And then what I do today is that we go through, I just have a couple of slides because I want to remember my points. Then I will go to a business plan that I wrote, and it is already becoming a real business. It's already running, already successful. But that business plan, I kind of, obviously our client information is confidential. So I had masked all the private information, but I just want you to know exactly when I was writing that business plan, what I was doing. So you can mirror what I did and really be able to do a meaningful one for yourself. I really do not think you can get the funding you wanted, or you can find the true partner with you to do your business if you just go on the internet to search for a business plan template. That's not the way to do it. And when you search for template, what they're doing is these people, instead of thinking you are creating a business, they think that you are creating something or you are forming something just like other people doing. Sure, if you want to have a coffee shop, maybe you can get a template, and other than mingle into your local area information, then you can come up with a reasonable coffee shop plan. But what if you invented something? What if you had this idea, you think that it's going to be really making it if someone can trust you and invest in you? So those are the things why we want to write a business plan with a real ink, with a real thinking, with a real input from your own, and think through that and put it together. And I will teach you that. You don't need to be an accountant. You just need to know the business you get in. So let's start on the slides quickly so I can show you the example that I have. And today we are going to talk about how to come up with a business plan. Don't want you to think it is so hard. No way, Ying, I don't even speak proper English. How can I come up with an article with a 25 pages a plan? No, you don't need to even speak English. You can still come up with a business plan, and you can go, after you write it in your own language, you can go Google Translation, have someone polish that up. But that original idea, that thought you have, it is really important. All right, before we get into the slides, we do have a job opening at Community CPA. On our website, you can find our other job openings, but this one, I want to say it here because you came to the webinars online. That just tells me that you probably be more into digital side of things. We are looking for digital marketers. Someone can give us solutions to help us increase the subscription on YouTube, because we believe our content is so good, but we have only 2,500 subscribers. I think that's just that's a shame, because we can't share our knowledge to a wider audience, because our knowledge here in this channel, it is so valuable, and we speak such an easy to understand English. There's no one gonna be freaking out when they talk to me about how to write business plan, because English is also my second language. All right, and we want someone to help us to edit our videos to become a bite-sized clip so we can post it everywhere on the internet, and we are hiring that person. So we want you to spread the word for us, and who knows, maybe your children, one of your kid, yeah, the one who is crazy and just doesn't want to do anything real, you think he or she just computer all the time, but maybe they're the one. And contact Catherine at communitycpa.com. And I myself, quite a few of you are new to me. And I knew that when I have a webinar of this kind, there will be people coming on board. Maybe you are not in business yet. You're just thinking of writing a business plan. And my qualification, and I am the managing partner for Community CPA. I started this company when I was 5 years old. I'm just kidding. So I want to stop you from guessing my age, okay? And here you go. And I am sitting on a national taxpayer advocacy panel. Folks, this is a volunteer panel to bring advices to IRS. So I'm on that panel and for 3 years term. So this year is my last year. And I also have a book published called Starting Up a Business, Appointment with Me and the Starting Up a Business. So if you are writing business plan, you may want to look at that book. It offers some really great ideas. It's a story collection of all of my 10,000 clients. So if someone's story is good, and I actually, of course, I changed the identity, I changed the story a little bit, but they're all real. None of them is fake. Now, no responsibility disclaimer. Of course, you know what I'm talking about, and it just be be judgmental when it comes to internet information. And I am not always right, but most of the time I am. And I'm saying that it just because my experience for the past 25 years would give you a lot of reasons to trust what I put on here is reliable. And again, making sure that you make your own judgment. And if you need us more, you can always contact Community CPA. All right, why do I need a business plan? Who even told you that word of business plan? Oh yeah, I know who told you, because you are approaching your friend and you got a wealthy friend and you invented something and you talk to your friend, was hoping this person would say, oh yes, here you go, $1 million, you can do it. But he didn't. Instead, he goes, do you have a business plan? You were like, why has to be so much paper? Why can't I just tell you I'm good, this is it? And you just listen to me. It doesn't work that way, right, folks? Doesn't work that way. Actually, I want you to take away that negative thought about so much paper. Nothing wrong with paper. You don't have to write the business plan on a piece of paper. You can write business plan in your dream and cite it out word by word. That's okay too, but you don't have that kind of time to repeat your business plan to so many people. You don't even know who is going to fund you, right? So that's where the business plan inquiry comes in. I want to see your business plan. And who else wants your business plan? Your banker. Maybe you already started something. Maybe your business is sort of going and you just need another 100,000 to buy a piece of machine so you can be more efficient. You walked into the bank, you go, I want to borrow $100,000. Bank goes, do you have a business plan? There you go. Another person wants your business plan. If you come to me, you say, I have a great idea. And I have a couple of friends who want to put money with me. We want to set up a LLC joint venture and we're going to go for business. All right. And did your friend, you're all on the same page? Oh no, we're going to have meetings every month. Then out of my mouth, I will say, that's a great idea. You may want to write down what you want to talk about. There's a couple sections of the thinking you need to go to in order you to run a good business. And what I was just saying, I didn't use the word of business plan, but that is already a business plan. So Business plan is just a logical way to put your thinking on paper, to put your thinking in more permanent terms. Maybe a recorder. Maybe you can, podcast your ideas, talk about your plan, and then that's your business plan. It doesn't need to be in writing, could be in audio, right? But still, you need those elements. So you have an idea, you invented something, you need someone to invest in this passion of yours. You need a business plan. Your banker wants it, right? But most importantly, I always say this to my clients who come to me wanting me to write a business plan for them. I always say that I am writing it, but I need you to be with me to write it together, because you need to make sure that this plan is yours. A lot of times our client is in one kind of business. Then let's say they're in this machinery business. While they're doing that, they realize another piece of machine would have a better market. So they almost want to start a new line of production. When they get into that kind of thinking, our client would come to me, go, Ying, I need to do this. It's not the same. And we want to do this. And, can you do a business plan for us? Then we do, because I knew exactly what kind of clientele he has already. And I knew what kind of purchasing power he already experienced with his other machinery. And with the same kind of clientele, also have a need for this type of machine. We already knew what people can afford. Then we can create a business plan. You see how much the person who writes the plan need to know the business? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Is you, no one but you. Of course, if you are already very familiar with your accountant and the accountant was involved with what you're doing, or the accountant is so experienced, had known all kinds of businesses. When you come in and say, I want this kind of business, the accountant has knowledge to know how the other similar business were doing, whether you will be okay or not. A lot of times we write business plan is because we knew. We already have that much of experience. We had, if I count everyone who walked through the door of Community CPA since 1998, we had over 27,000 businesses coming through. So with that amount of business coming through, obviously we have that knowledge. And if you are in electronic car production, I don't have that experience. But if you are in the electronic small gadgets manufacturing, I have that experience. So it really depends on who you work with, right? So your accountant maybe is a super one, maybe is really good with farming. Then the expertise will reside in that. When you write a business plan for a farm, that would be a good person to go to. So it really depends on the person who writes, and it really is you. Am I right? So that's what I want to tell you. Business plan is not a merchandise. Business plan is literally an engagement for sharing your passion. If your other person who writes it doesn't have that passion for you, thinking your business is crazy, forget it. That plan not gonna come out right. It's gonna sound crazy and it is going to be unrealistic. When bank look at it, they will say, no, that's not possible. All right. So now how do you get one? Of course, internet offers. You type into business plan template. There's so many vendors out there. And then the cheapest one is $23 for a template. You can fill in the business name and then they just spit out one for you. And of course, your friend can write you one. Then your accountant can write you one, and you can write one on your own. And I am here to encourage you to write one on your own. Now, let's look at the main areas that need to cover. After this slide, we go on to the real example that I have. I wrote the plan. and the plan itself already become reality, which means the funding is already done, the business is already running, so it is a successful business plan. And this business plan, of course, I mask all the private information, but I can show you what I do so you can follow my lead and try to do it for yourself, right? So in a business plan, most common, these are areas, whether the bankers or the or your partner or your investor, they want to see. I'll tell you why they want to see that. So executive summary, normally that first part, normally just talk about where you put what you want. You have a business plan is because you need something. If you already know how to run business and you do it yourself, then you don't need to write a business plan. Why? You're already running it. I started Community CPA without a business plan because I never really planned one. I wasn't going to do this. And I just falling into the needs of the community at the time, and I just overwhelmed with all these needs out there, so I was doing it voluntarily. And slowly, the community recognized me, so they built office for me, and then I start practicing. And over 3 years' time, I realized that I cannot do my full-time job and also practicing Community CPA. So I have to make a choice. Then I resigned from my job, giving 6 months notice. So that is where I become this managing partner of Community CPA. I didn't have a plan. And I call myself entrepreneur, but it's incidental. And you are writing a business plan. You're not incidental. You purposefully wanting to get into business, and you are an entrepreneur. So you know what you want. In order to get your business successful, you maybe need money, you maybe need people, and you maybe need an equity partner, and maybe you don't need equity partner, you just need an investor. And with all of that you need, your executive summary should say exactly what you need. So in my example, I'm going to show you later, what we need is $10 million. And we don't care where that money comes from. It can come from the bank. It can come from people. So we ended up have $1.5 million coming from people. Then the rest we get from the bank, right? So that's executive summary. You want to say what you want. But of course, you see, when you come down to numbers, and you can't just sit here and go, roughly, I need $1 million. That would not convince the bank, right? The bank wants to know why you need that money and also how you're going to pay it back. So the second section of your business plan need to be economic, feasibility, and qualifications. Why they need that? Because everyone who wants to partner with you, everyone who wants to fund you or the bank, they want to know what kind of person they're dealing with. Of course, they go to pull your credit report. They're going to ask you for tax return copies, making sure that you actually don't owe taxes. And they're going to ask all kinds of things from you, right? They ask you personal guarantee and stuff like that. All of that is related to qualification. They want to make sure that you are a reliable character. And for the economic environment, they also want to make sure that the big world needs you. If you are saying that, well, I have a business idea and I can create this thing and it's going to be really beautiful, but it's only fashionable in the 20s. So what's the big deal? You're not going to be selling it. The big environment is not there, right? So during COVID, what was selling? Face mask, right? Face mask was a commodity like everybody wants. So that's what we are talking about, the big economic environment. If you want to set up a supermarket, it is really needed. Do you have supermarket in that area? That example I have later, it is about a supermarket. So the study, the big picture study is there saying that in so many miles radiate, there is no supermarket at a 50,000 square footage. okay, a huge one. But no, it's like a small Hy-Vee if you think of that. So that's where, Hy-Vee, of course, need to be considered, or the other supermarket like, Safeway, it need to be considered. So all of these are your big environment and your big economic feasibility study. So whether that's possible or not. Then after that, after your big environment, after you as the person qualifies, then the next thing you need to talk about is the market. Is the market open to you? And if you have the market, and how you're going to do marketing, and what you're going to do to reach out to the people that can buy your stuff, right? So the market plan, the market feasibility, and this is where you do analysis. That's why, when so long ago, there was a gentleman wanting to open a small restaurant. It's only have about 10 seats in the existing place that he's looking. So he was projecting, he was doing business plan for the bank because he wants to just get $25,000 for the inventory and some of what do you call that? See, English is my second language. I forgot that fancy word. It's like your, I forgot, like your forks and your spoons, utensils, those kind of things. Yeah, I remember the word now. So he was just trying to buy those things. So he was asking for 25,000. And then the banker come back and goes, your projection is totally wrong. And it's impossible you're going to make $250,000 a year. And, then he came to us and want us to tell him and why 250,000 a year is not practical, because he doesn't know. He goes, I haven't even opened my restaurant yet, and they want me to tell them how much I make, how much I'm going to sell. What am I going to do? I'm just going to pull the number out of the sky. I don't know what I'm going to make. I don't even, it's not even practical to ask me that question. No, it is practical, because what you should do is to look at your seats and look at how quickly you turn those seats around. So 10 tables and 4 on each table, 4 seats on each table, that's 40. If in a day you can turn that 3 times, you're pretty good small restaurant. So that means 120 serving at a maximum. And look at your average ticket. Small restaurant like that, the average ticket, this is before COVID, okay? Average ticket is about $25. 120 times $25, okay? 120 times $25. So it's a $3,000 a day. And $3,000 a day, and the times, let's say we open 365 days a year maximum. So that gives you the total for the sales, right? 300, I'm not going to get into calculation, am I? So that's where you calculate the sales, okay? Once you calculate that sales and then you give that number, and then you need to convince the banker that you indeed gonna have that kind of crowd. And then this particular bank actually knew the previous restaurant was there, how much they're making, because they bank there. So the bankers come back and just shaking their head goes, no, you don't make that much, but 25,000 I can still give you, but your sales projection is totally wrong. That is because they did not really tie their calculation of sales with the market. So you want to really go into doing that, and I will show you how exactly we do with that, right? And then your management. What is management? Management is your managers and your employees. Maybe you don't need that because you're on your own, but if you are an inventor, you invented something, you want to do a manufacturing on that, and you need that management piece. So you need to know how much you're going to pay managers. You need to know the wages out there, the employee you can get, the wages out there, that need to be a part of budget, right? Then financial. Financial is something I knew I cannot teach you in 1 hour. But I want to show you what I do. So maybe you just click, you just goes, oh, I see, Ying, what you do. And that is how you do it? Yes, that's how I do it. And I done financial feasibility study. And this is just one of the format I use, but depends on the businesses, I would do different calculation. I have done calculation by creative unit. What I mean by that is I started with how much you can sell, right? So for restaurant, we can sell by the seat, by the turnaround of the seats. And for retail store, we can do that by populations and then by average ticket. And if you are talking about daycare, and we can calculate by the kids in the area. And it's only possible if they're within certain miles to send their kids over to you. It's not possible you're going to have some kids out of town every day, right? It doesn't work that way. So you know exactly the possibility of how many kids would come. And then if you're a professional service company like a law firm and a tax preparation, and most of the tax preparation businesses are really started with the community. It is more of a community leader somehow, or someone is more knowledgeable, then started doing tax preparation for that community and expand it out. And I would say that it's not, even for community CPA, we're not exactly come out of just one community, but, I would say that is the community need really brought out the community CPA. So most of those small businesses, when you just start, you have a number. You already knew. If you don't know, we know. We actually know when people start in the small restaurant by square footage, what normally the income you would get. Then of course, if you are a bigger restaurant, your restaurant with fine dining and expensive outlet, and those kind of restaurant has a different square footage amount. So those are the things you will just get to know when you get to that kind of business. So let's quickly take a look at what I'm about to share with you on the examples I have. So I'm going to, this is my last slide. For my slides, I just want you to send email to Catherine if you have any questions for us. And also this is our number. And by the way, we do open 6 days a week. So we're not really traditional like the rest of the CPA firms. Am I right? We're weird duck because we just like to do things a little different. It is really kind of driven by the community needs. It is nothing of a plan. It's not creative marketing. So we open on Saturday. We cannot even close on Saturday because people are coming in on Saturday. So that's why I'm here conveniently at 3 p.m. on Saturday because our office is open, right? So now let me share with you and what I have on our business plan side. So let me pull this one up. This is a one. So this is a business plan I wrote, and it is already the reality. So I, of course, changed the name and everything. So I want to kind of quickly go through and see how that is going by the section of what we need to write. So executive summary section is very simple. I just pull out the chart. So I want to show you my other things here too. See, I have two files. One is a Word file. I put the plan together. Then I have Excel files where I build the model, right? So in this case, I built the model in this way because I knew that I need to have the summary of funds needed. And somehow I need to know exactly how much I need. So we know that to purchase the building in order to have a small Hy-Vee kind of grocery business supermarket, and that building itself is 7.2. Right? So we knew that closing cost, and we know what that would be total. And we also know how much funds we can get on the private side. Then we come up with the total we needed. So this is one number we need. But of course, when you acquire the building, you need to renovate it. You need to do all kinds of things. So we actually broken that down to areas. And, because we have, at our firm, we really understand this kind of plaza, supermarket, and shopping center kind of business. So we knew that when you buy a empty shell and what exactly you need to do to get you there. So we actually use our experience. We come up with all these renovation expenses. So we know that with what we think the tenant gonna pay, then we know that we need to get 2.6 million. So if I add that to that, and I also know that to run the supermarket for the first month, what kind of working capital I need. So we came up with 10 million, 9.3. Okay, so this is where we are working on. When you get a summary of funds, and your thought process need to be really clear. And when I say clear, it doesn't mean that you know where the money come from. No, you don't need to know where the money come from, but what you need to know is exactly how much funds you need. So with that, we actually go back to here. So in the executive summary, we will write about what in total we need. So that would be literally the first sentence. We write what we need. Then of course I break down some of those things, and then I give objective, I give a mission. And if you are an entrepreneur, you know how you started doing the business, there's so much passion in it. It's just not very simple. Oh, I just want to make money. I frankly has never met a entrepreneur and who are into the starting stage and it just says, oh, I just want to make money. I don't care how that business goes. No one. But there are people like that when they become a serial entrepreneurs, because they know that they start up something, they just want to make money and they sell. So there are people like that, but it's in much more mature stage. But when you are new into business, when you are embarking on something unknown, passion is the thing drives you. That passion drives you need to be turned into dollars. That is how you make dream come true, because you know how much dollars you need to get through. Don't worry about the dollar is 23 millions or 100 millions. It doesn't matter, folks. I will tell you, a very mature business owner and the people like myself sitting in this end of table, looking at all of your business, I am telling you, dollar amount is very symbolic. You can spend your lifetime to do a $10,000 business. You can also spend your lifetime doing $10 billion business. And because dollar amount is really a subordinate to the nature of your business. If your business, it is in life science, your nature of business is $1 billion business. But if your passion is to cook a nice dish, and your line of profession would normally not make you $10 billion entrepreneur, but it will still make a good living. And we're measuring success not by your total sales. There are people selling a lot. And on Donald Trump's book, our president's book, and he had many billions, millions, but he didn't pay taxes. So that means there's no profit, right? Our measure on business success for me is on two things. Of course, profit, but also community impact. If you don't have that impact to humans, then your business is not exciting. You will lose interest. You will give up and you will walk away and you will find it is tasteless. So there, in that executive summary, you need to knock into your passion and give a price, give a dollar amount you needed, right? So now you're going to write about economic feasibility because you want to make people believe that the big environment works for you. So you talk about your legal structure. Let's say if you are going to write a business plan, you need a private investor, then your legal structure need to support that. You need to have shares, A shares, B shares. You need to have limited liability company formed up to, you need to know what kind of legal structure you have, right? And then if you want to do a supermarket, you need to know how to build this retail space. And what is the concept of your retail space? What is the concept of Walmart? Always the cheapest. What is the concept of Hy-Vee in Midwest? Always fresh and expensive. Concept. So what are you selling? If we're going to do a supermarket, you can't be just like, oh, just another supermarket. No. And what about Price Chopper? The concept is price got chopped down. What about whole food? Holistic, healthy food. See? These are the concept, right? So in our particular example, it is one-stop shopping concept. You come in, you get everything. It is not, other supermarket, Hy-Vee is doing that too. It's a one-stop shopping. You can go buy, buy your food, you can go buy your cat food too, right? But they are focused on fresh, expensive. And then you open up a new business, you're going to focus on one-stop shopping. But of course, you're going to be fresh too, right? So it is not about you're not fresh. It is more about what is your concept? What is selling for you? What is selling for you? And employee communication, employee pool consideration. Are you okay? Can you get labor? And who is going to work? And in today's world, who do not have issue with employment? No one. Every entrepreneur, every businesses, and more than 80% of business, when they close, the reason was no people working. Look at that. Of course, we talk about COVID consideration. This is a big environment, right? And then members qualification, we have the, we have the investors, the owners, their qualification. Then we also have consultant qualification. That's Community CPA. We wrote that plan. So when we write the plan, we tell the people who read the plan that you need to trust us because we know this business. When we tell you that the sales is 2 million, it is 2 million because we knew how this kind of market works. So this is where you put in your qualification. You know your business. All right. So now with that, we go down to, this is an environment analysis we did. What happened is, in the big supermarket, when you estimate for what you have on inventory, and what we did it is, we actually knew in any supermarket, if you go onto the aisle, you calculate the aisle's item. So let's say that aisle is canned food, right? So you know that normally those canned food are marked up between 20 to 50%. So you use that as a cost, then you calculate roughly on this aisle. So you come up with the display minimum need for your startup stock. So you need to stock your inventory. You can't look empty, right? So you want to, so this is where we go by saying that, to make a store look like this, easy. We need $500,000. So this is where that, if you remember when I was looking at the Excel, and you remember I have working capitals, this is how we calculate those numbers. So that just gives you an idea. Everything you put a number, it is not a dream up number. It is actually a reference number. And we have one entrepreneur, and he started a business. He started, I don't quite remember, could be a restaurant or could be other retail. And he doesn't know that kind of retail business. And before he came to us, he actually sat outside one of the similar store, counting on how many people walked in the day. So he counted there was 68 people went in. When they come out, they had bags in their hand. So he will calculate the average bags out of the 68 people that he saw on that day. Then he will estimate how much the sales would be for a store of that size. So see how you can lead, you can discover how to calculate your number. It is not all dreamed up, right? So now we talk about market visibility. So buying habit. I mean, nowadays, after COVID, people's buying habit changed. Not so much for grocery stores. They're still in and out, and people are not totally on the delivery side. But what about restaurant? It changed a lot. Only the high-end restaurant, where sitting, talking, environment, and the private party rooms are important, right? They're still going. After pandemic, people are going back. But the smaller restaurant, the mama papa shop, a lot of them start to realize that there was less people coming in and more online ordering, more telephone call ordering. So the buying habit is changing. So you need to do analysis on people's habit in order you to be estimating a successful business, because more people order online, the less people you should hire for your front desk and for your waiter and the waitress. Am I right? You should be increasing kitchen, decrease the front. That impacts your management of people, right? Then you look at your we look at a purchasing power, and we talked about buying habit, purchasing power. We do analysis. We do analysis on the census data, and then we knew certain business in certain areas, their purchasing power, well, their customer data. Then compare these, we know how this store gonna work to the pennies. I actually have a client back in 2008. I did a projection for this new business. It's a salon business, and because the landlord, in order to sign up the lease agreement in this very expensive mall, and the landlord wants a business plan. So we did a projection, but I knew the surrounding areas, the nail salon, what kind of sale they're generating. So I actually projected 2008, 2009, 2010 for this business plan. And I wrote it, submitted to landlord. They got their lease. The business is still running today in the mall. And just a couple of years ago, the business owner came back to my office and he showed me about my plan from 2008. It was already like 10 years over. And so he goes, Ying, do you realize that what you projected, it was exactly what was for me for those 3 years. It didn't even different by over $10,000. It was exactly what we did. And I also projected growth. So 2008 is a projection, 9, 10, they are all projections, but I had accounted the maturity of the mall because that time was new, and then maturity of the mall and the people they bring. So I projected growth for them. They are right on the dot. So this is where the understanding you need to have for that area you are doing business, right? So this is what I did, and I calculated buying power, and then we have 6 million sales, 52 weeks, and the spending of 130 per household. Number of household is 895. For a household, spending 130 and per week for 52 weeks will produce that $6 million in sales. So that's how we come up with projections. Then of course, I calculating certain ethnic groups purchasing powers and getting them the household income range. So all of that I do is to support that one number I have in Excel, which is the income projection. You see how I projected income year 1, year 2, 3, and 4, and then projected increase. And while I was projecting the income and I was projecting the lease the rental income for those places that was rent out, because this is a huge plaza, right? So with that, I came up with total income. And then if you look at my projection right here, I have income. And then I also have projection for cost of goods sold. When I did cost of goods sold, and I did it backwards, I did not go by guessing, oh, this is the sales, so percentage of sales, cost of goods sold. No, what I did is I used the time frame of certain product would last. For example, frozen food. You can buy frozen food 1 month at a time, so 12 times shipment, frozen food, and then the best to sell the frozen food is by next 30 to 60 days, otherwise it's too old, right? So with those kind of turnaround time, I calculate what kind of inventory we need, and to make that kind of sale, what kind of sales I need. So that gives me a backward calculation to the sales. So I know exactly what the cost of goods sold would be for me if I do $6 million sales. So then here, my gross profit gonna be 2.4. Then I have all of these operating expenses. Then we have this percentage to sales ratio come out of our experience. We knew. We use those ratios to review our client's financial statement. We tell our client that you spent too much money on your payroll because the ratio was off. The real ratio for your labor should not be more than 1/3 of your sales in this type of business. In this type of business, because you have cost of goods sold, so your gross profit that comes in, and the most you can have is half of that amount to go to your payroll, people related expense. You can't have more than that. If you do, you're losing money. All right. So those are experience ratios where you can imagine that a template of $28 on the internet just not gonna work, because they are not going to be so detailed into what you are going to do when you run your business. But you can imagine your business. You know you need people, and you know that if you're running a supermarket, you need a shipment. You know you need all these rentals, utilities. All of these expenses are a must. There's no other way around. You cannot go away from this. This is what you must have. So how did you will say that, Ying, if I do something, how do I know what is my must expense category? And this is where, if you don't know that for sure, and your accountant, the accountant that who has done business and know your type of business should know. They can give that to you. We will give that to you. And if you ask. So this is where you will come in to really study what you are doing with your business. Then, of course, with our income statement, and I do a balance sheet, you notice that all of my, my spreadsheet, I build it so they're interrelated. So if I change the profit for 1 year, then my whole balance sheet will readjust, right? But I redo this again and again because it's not a formula. It is impossible for me to give you this while I'm doing a supermarket and you are going to run a manufacturer. You're going to do a chicken factory, not the same. So this is something that I know 1 hour I'm not going to teach you, but I want you to know in depth what other people do, so you have a good understanding. So once we do the balance sheet, and you can see that the balance sheet came out, the first year we are losing money. The second year makes more. The fifth year, we're thinking we're gonna make net profit of 1.1 million. And it is so real. It is so true. Not because of this plan, it's because of our other plan. We have seen it. It is arriving right to the point. And this is the power of imagination, right? Imagination, but based on the reality data collection. That's why we talk about big data. So what is this so powerful about big data? And when you can collect all the data you have with your clients, and with 20 some years experience, you look at their books every year, some successful, some folded, and some struggling, still going through. How could you not know the number? Yes, we know the number. So now we go to cash flow. Cash flow, it is such a convenient way for you to know it works or not. Okay, so at the end of the year, you are not short of cash, folks, even though you lost money. So cash flow is a real place where you will, as an entrepreneur, you actually tie your feelings about your business on cash flow. That's why sometimes people are not making money, but they still have cash running around in their business, so they think they're making money. Cash flow is an easy way to fool you, making you think that you made it, but all your cash is coming from the money you borrowed. Or all the cash is coming from the money that your spouse gave to you because you keep on running negative on your checking account, right? So, but cash flow is also a good projection tool to tell us that if we do what we do, what is the cash flow? How would I feel? I would feel pretty good because at the end of the first year, I have $200,000 cash flow. I'm not worried about electricity bills, right? All right. So with that, and I also want to go back to our Word document. So this is where you see a lot of charts coming in. So this is still the market analysis I was doing. This is the one I was showing you how I calculate the sales by household purchasing power. And here is the financial feasibility. You see how I would just simply cut and paste what I calculated on Excel in here to give the retail space income, rental income. And I also do analysis on this cost of goods sold chart. And I tell the people that, look, I know if I make seafood sales, my markup should be about 40–50%. So I do the markup assumption. I do the number of shipment assumption. So that way our cost of goods sold is calculated accurately. Okay, so that's how I calculated cost of goods sold. There you go on my income, and I had laid it out just like the real world where we're gonna be. Okay, even though it's a projection. Now this is all my assumption. So people may challenge, even for this particular case, the banker come back repetitively asking about the income calculation. So we actually did a lot more explanations about our assumption, about the data out there to really give a realistic picture, because the bank or the banker may not ever dealt with a large supermarket before. So they don't know. And they look at 6 million and go, that's a lot. No, that's not a lot. That should be the first year. Okay, so this is the assumption we have. Actually, this is just really pertaining to the retail store kind of operation. If you want to take a picture of that, and that would be for retail, but it's not for restaurant, not for offices, not for real estate developers. So that's particularly for the supermarket, big plaza. And then, of course, the balance sheet projection is right here. And then we have our cash flow projection. Then what we do is we do a break-even analysis. What is this all about? This one is to say that assume I don't make any money. I just break even. I work for nothing and I just sweat whole year and I made nothing. And if that is the case, how much sale you need to do? So we do analysis, and then that's 2.7 million. Okay. Then, of course, on management side, we lay out the labors, what we need. So you see how I would give the personnel plan. There's a store manager, and we need a 2 manager because those market opens 24/7. We need 2 managers, and you just kind of know what you need. And here we need 30 people on payroll, and that 30 people give me $1 million expense. Then I will need 29 in the second year, not more, but less, because you got more experience and you can do your people management better. But 29, we need more money because you want to increase the salary to get everybody paid really well. So the 29 out of 30 will stay, right? So that is how we sell. That is how we sell this idea of having a plan. And then we go to the bankers or we go to our investors, say, look, I got it all calculated. It works. And in Chinese, we call that 天时地利人和, which means the sky says is the right timing, the ground says is the right 地利, the ground says is beneficial, and the human 人, the human says in harmony. This is great. So we ask for business to be successful with 3 blessings: the top, the down, the middle, which is the humans, right? So for you, when you write the business plan, remember we had this PowerPoint earlier, and we said that, and you need to go into these areas to really understand what you want to present. Write a business plan that is like creating a baby for yourself, and don't go somewhere, don't go internet to adopt one, and don't just say that it's a piece of paper, is not important. No, it should express your passions. It should tell your story. And I wish you writing a very successful business plan. And if you have any questions, of course, we're here to help you, but I want this to be yours. And until it is yours, it will not be a successful business. So I wish you success, and we will talk again next week. Bye-bye.